Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to you all. Today in this video we'll be looking at building a simple storage application in Solidity. So the goal of this is to be able to combine all that we have learned in the previous sections, in the previous Solidity sections, and to be able to solidify our knowledge of these things that we have learned. Okay, so this application basically helps us to store and also retrieve person information. Right, so we'll be using the things that we have learned, struct, arrays, also reference type, data types, and pretty much what we have learned so far. Functions, how to write a function that writes to the state and the function that reads from the state. Alright, so having said that, let's jump right in. Let's head over to Remix ID, and we pretty much want to create a contract called simple storage.sol. And what we want to do is to, just like we do, to set the Solidity compiler version to 0.8.20, and pretty much it declare the contract keyword. Let's name this simple storage, and we are good to go. Alright, so let's type out what we want to achieve. First thing we want to uh, declare a function that stores data, and also a function that reads the data. Okay, so before we write these functions, we also want to declare the state variable, right? And also want to add, want to declare an array of this variable, and also want to declare a mapping, right? So we want to create a key value relationship between a particular type to another type, right? Alright, so let's get started. Let's start with declaring a struct. The first thing we want to do while declaring a struct is to use the struct keyword, and we call it person. Alright, so let's kind of declare some of the variables I want to include in our person struct. The first one is the person ID, right? The next one is the person name, right? The next one is their address. Let's call this ADDR. The next one is if they are over 18. The next one, so the next one I add is also their age, basically. So having done that, let's quickly create an array of the person struct. To do that, we'll declare person, and we'll call this to be private. Set this to the person. Right. Next thing we want to do is to declare a mapping. So what mapping tells us to do is to create a key value relationship between a type and another type. And in this case, we want to create uh, a mapping between an address, which is the key, and the value is the person struct. Right, so we are going to call this address to person. Right, I hope that makes sense. Next is to actually store the data of each person. In this case, we're going to be pushing to the person array, and also will be uniquely mapping the address of this person to its own person data. Alright, so let's write the function. Let's call this set person. So now we have to pass in different arguments. In this case, viewing, let's call this ID. Let's call this string. So string is the reference type. We have to provide the location to which we have to store this, and we call this name. Right. The next thing on the agenda is address. We call this ADDR. The next thing is pool over 18. The next thing is age. Right. So we want to set this to public. Um, Pretty much it. So the first thing we want to do is to push to this array, to the person array, right? And what we do is dot push, right? So yeah, So to push, we previously mentioned that we can initialize a struct by using the function method or even a key value method. So let's use the function method in this case, and let's pass in each of the arguments. We have ID, name, we have ADD, address, variety, then we have, let's make this underscore, we have age, right? So pretty much the first part. Now let's call the address to person mapping. And so because this is a key value type of relationship, we have to pass in the key. In this case, let's take in the address and we'll say this equals person. So let's use the key value mapping to initialize our structs. Now we have to uniquely declare each of the key and their value, right? So the next one is name. The value is name. The next one is address, and the value is address. The next one is over thing, and the value is over thing. And the last one is age, and the value is, and the value is age, right? So pretty much we have been able to use both the function method and also the key value mapping method to initialize our structs. So lastly, let's quickly create a function that reads from the data. Let's call this get person, and we want to pass in the ID, viewing ID, and also the value, address, because these are the two arguments we're using to fetch the person data from where we stored them in the array and also the mapping. Let's call this public and view because we are trying to read from the state variable. We also want to call returns. I want to return person struct. Alright, so because struct is also like a reference type, we have to declare the location at which we want to store it. So let's call this person one, and also want to return the person stored in the address to person mapping. Alright, so the first thing is let's call the person uh, array and passing uh, the index, right? ID. Now we are meant to declare a return keyword. Uh, Next thing we want to do is also to call the address to mapping, sorry, address to person, and pass in the key. Now the key in this case is ADDR. Alright. So this basically helps us return the struct stored in the person array and also the structs in the address to person array. Right? Pretty much it. Okay, very quickly, let's add visibility to this mapping public. Pretty much it. Let's now let's deploy our contract, and so yeah, let's set person. Let's call this 0. Name should be works. Address. Let me copy an address of. We have this bool over 18. Let's set this to true. Age 20. Let's transact, right? So when we try to get person, right, we call the ID 0 as we have stored here, and let's copy the address and let's call. So it basically returns what we stored using the array and also what we stored using the mapping. Person with ID, the name, the address, over 18, and also the age, right? So pretty much it's we've been able to look at how to write a simple storage contract. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.